Well,
Let's
I
see,
mean,
where
it
else can I
shows.
share this?
I don't put much effort into or thought into the actual music I choose.
I
Oh,
like it.
really don't. It'll be when I was the thing together. Is it what type of music? And I'm like, oh, upbeat. And I think that might have been the first one that came up.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm like, that sounds good. Let's go with it. So there we are. All right. So tonight we're going to talk about employees, which I know is Denise's jam. All right.
I love it. Yes.
And for me, it's like, yeah, that's a big fat no.
It takes a lot of work. I always say my full-time job is managing my work culture and the environment. That's my full-time job. It's not actually running a grooming salon or grooming dogs or anything. It's literally my full-time job is making sure that my employees are taken care
All right. You see, for me, that's that's like the last thing in the world I want to do. I
of.
I don't want to hold hands and tell people how to do things. I'm like, can you like just do your job and be good? And that's kind of it. And not have to deal with any of that.
Yeah, so it took a lot of work to get here, but I have really amazing staff. And I did share this on my personal page, so some of them may pop in and like see this. But no, it took a long time. It takes a lot of work and a lot of, oh gosh, I made so many mistakes, so many wrong steps, and so many wrong choices throughout the years. I still do. They're different. I've developed really good, healthy boundaries, actually, is what that is.
I think part of the reason why I don't want employees is based on experience working for corporate,
Mm,
where they it was more bodies, at least the store I worked at. It was
right.
all about having the bodies there and not necessarily really vetting. They gave me very little control over who was hired and why they were hired. Okay.
Hmm.
Sometimes corporate had deals with various organizations for like tax breaks. And
Right.
so that person came to work and they were totally not only not qualified, they really working with animals was not their thing, but they needed to
Hmm.
be there, and corporate wanted the tax break, so that was that. When I would have sometimes other grooming shops come in, mostly I was offered, I don't know how many times, from the local grooming shops for me to go work for them, and that was kind of consistent because they kept losing people.
Mm. Hmm.
All right. So when I decided to go out on my own, I decided I was going to go out on my own. I don't want to deal with it. I had bad employees working corporate. I didn't see good camaraderie within the shops in my area. All right.
Hmm.
People that were good that I worked with went on to do their own thing.
So I learned at the vet clinic. So when I started, I was the only groomer. By the time I left, I had five groomers underneath me. And I was put in a position to work smarter, not harder. And I did have a little say in who got hired at a certain point. There was one person who was the bad apple, but we ended up, I learned my strength was working with people and building community. So us four core people had each other and you couldn't penetrate. I mean, gosh, when I quit there, the amount of toxicity was crazy after I started telling people, but you couldn't tell because we had each other.
Right.
And that's sort of when I knew I would never work on my own, was because I really thoroughly enjoyed working with the right community of people.
Okay.
So I figured I was a good leader. I'm a horrible manager, but a great leader, and bringing people together. So I knew I always wanted that. I just didn't know I would have what I have today. That was never a part of my plan.
Well, start off from the beginning. Like I said, Asking me about employees is you're totally asking the wrong person, you know? Um,
Right.
but I have seen the business that you have built. Am very impressed by it.
Thank you.
And the thing is, what really strikes me about your business is the boundaries that you set, the vacation time that you take.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I think that's really important. And that's evident in the culture. So you're just not like abandoning your business because you're going to Cancun for the week.
No, I know a lot of owners like that too, and they think that it can run and it can't, and all the things.
Yeah. All right. So let's start off with maybe some of the mistakes that you made.
Oh goodness. So I was that person when you're closer to the age of your employees, you overshare your friends, you go out, all the wrong things to do. Um, and it bit me in the booty because let's face it, not I'm actually really good with separating work and friends. So I could still like marry you and I could work with each other. I could still have you as an employee and I could still tell you where my boundaries are. Hey, this is friend Denise talking to you, or this is employee Denise. I'm really good at that.
Okay.
I learned a lot of people, I assume people were like me. Guess what? They're not at all. So very far and few between. So I was friends with my employees. We went and hung out. There wasn't disciplinary action for poor behavior. It actually got to be because I looked at them as friends. It was really hard for me to do my end as the boss and run my business the way that I needed it to and have the disciplinary. I didn't have enough guts to tell them what I needed because I was afraid of hurting people and friendships.
Okay. Okay.
That was my biggest mistake. But you know what I tell everyone in my classes? As you get older and they get younger, you will have no desire to hang out with them. There's nothing in common.
Okay.
So so that was the big one. I have like nothing in common. I love hanging out with them. Like I go and I was just in the room talking to them today and learning some things about their lives, but like there isn't that crossover of hanging out and being too personal.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, so when I was the grooming manager, I had groomers of various ages. Okay. So I
Mhm.
had literally kids working for me. And when I back into the workforce, I was like 38 years old. I was not a young. Hey, Crystal. I was not um, a young boss. I was not a young groomer.
Mhm.
Okay. And I think they made me grooming manager because I was like the oldest one in the room. And they're like, yeah, you do it.
Just
Whatever. But there was
mhm.
various ages of people. And I'm going to be really honest. My best person I worked with was a 17-year-old high school kid.
Mhm.
In fact, we're still friends. When we're in the same state, we hang out together. Uh,
Oh, I love that.
yeah, and she came in ready to work, but she was also the type of person where, Denise, you know me for a long time, and those who do know, I am very short and to the point,
Mhm.
you know, and so I can go in and I could tell her something, and she not take it personal.
Oh, I love that.
Oh my God,
Yes.
right? Not take it personally. I'm not yelling. If I'm mad at you, you're gonna know it because I'm not gonna hide,
Yeah.
okay? Or it's
Yeah.
gonna be the actually opposite of how I'm acting. I'm gonna go silent on you.
Yeah. I tend to retreat. You usually know if I'm frustrated, I
Yeah.
retreat. I get
Yeah, and I'm
quiet.
not even gonna
Mhm.
call it retreating. I'm just calling I'm line, you crossed the line, we're done. We're done.
We're silence completely. Got it.
Yeah. So my husband knows to look out for that too. If I make noise, he knows he can still push it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. But she was the best. So I've had groomers my age. I've had groomers older who ended up being older than me, and I had like I didn't have any problems setting boundaries with them, with any of the other age groups.
Mhm.
Okay. But I will say the best person I had was a high school kid, and she eventually learned how to groom. And when she went to college, she would come home on the weekends and groom.
Mhm.
Make way she graduated with no college debt.
See? Yep.
So
I told my oldest that he needed to learn how to groom because he worked in the business because of COVID. And I'm like, dude, you can bank while you're in school and have a because people work around your
yep.
schedule. He didn't want to listen, so I'm like, okay, whatever. But yeah, I told him the same.
Yeah. So come home on the weekends, you work just the Saturday, the busy day. Okay.
Hmm.
Make more money than working like full time for like any of the box stores around the college. So
Right?
she had more time to study. She graduated with whatever honors, and she had no debt. So then she went to Australia for a couple of years because she could. You
Yeah,
know,
that's cool.
she took a job house sitting for people. So while they were on vacation, oh
Yep.
yeah, so it was a sweet deal. So she'd
See?
find a grooming shop locally, work in that grooming shop for 1 day a week, house sits, she had a place to live, she made money, and she was able to live in Australia for a couple of years. She's fairly far up the food chain at GM right now.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome. Yeah, no, yes, it's finding the right employees too, because like you said, you've had all different ones. I can tell you there is an age bracket that I don't typically mm, I don't want to say I don't typically get along. They are a lot harder for me to personality wise. There's a certain age bracket. So I always have to watch when I'm employing people. But I've had everywhere from same thing, 17 all the way up to 75. So it is but it's a lot of learning people, right? It's not just having people all collective in one place that can get along. It's also learning how to manage people and how they tick and why they tick and all those things. Um, because, like I said, my job is to just make sure everyone is getting along and happy.
which is why, by the way, when we're reviewing business books for book club, we have Denise pick it.
I learn about people. I love people. Like I love learning about generations and why they do the things they do and but it makes me a stronger leader.
Yeah. So she's picked some awesome business books. So just want to set that. Yeah, Crystal, Christine had her priorities straight. She knew what she wanted, and she went after it. So,
Mhm. Yeah,
uh,
no, that's really cool.
all right. So when you're hiring, what's the hiring process look like for you?
So you would think it's like this big in-depth process and it really isn't. I'm very particular on how I write my job ads. I do put a lot in, I'm not gonna lie, I do use ChatGPT to try and get the right wording that I want because it makes it a lot easier to help weed out people. When I'm looking for support staff, if you don't have animal management or any kind of like I love how I put we all know you put professional animal care experience and everyone's like, I've had dogs 10 years in my life. That's an instant no. I don't even humor that.
Yeah.
Um, and honestly, I don't hire too many groomers. I usually train up. So bathers, I look for the ones who have the drive, who want to learn how to groom and the work ethic. So my job ads are I try to weed out as many people, and then I do phone interviews. I don't waste time with in person interviews anymore. To start, because if they're not going to answer the phone, I don't really care. Like if they're not going to show, and I set aside that time, I get really frustrated.
Mhm.
But you can learn a lot on the phone with somebody too. It's a lot different than face to face interaction.
That's really true. So when I first
Hmm.
got mobile, 2002. This is before texting, people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This was phone calls. And some of the older groomers will tell you the same thing too. Yeah, phone calls waste a lot of time. All right. But it was also great in weeding out people because they're on the phone and they think they're interviewing you, but you're paying attention to the questions that they're asking. You're really interviewing them. By the end of that call, I usually could keep it. If I wasn't going to take them on as a client, I could usually figure that out within 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
and then move them on to somebody else. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sasha's here.
Hi, Sasha. I know. I was just trying to read everything.
Right. And where was I going with that? Sasha threw me off. I'm sorry.
I know, right? I'm like reading.
All right. Someone tell me where I was. I'm getting old. What can I say? Phone calls with prospective clients.
Phone calls.
There
Yes.
we go. All right. So that was one of the good things about it. However, texting is really awesome because by the time texting really came around, my clients were pretty well set. I wasn't taking in new people or very few new people. And that's
Mm-hmm.
to a phone call too, by the way. But texting is great. Okay. Because I
Mm-hmm.
can just, first of all, it's written communication that's easy to find. So that when, as mobile as I'm knocking on the door and mom goes, I didn't know you were coming today. And the husband in the background is like, oh, yeah, Mary's coming. Or the ones that truly forgot after they confirmed, I could pull up the text and say, "This you?" You know. And so,
Uh-huh. Yeah, no. And then after I do my phone interview, if I think it'll be a good fit, I have them come in and then I watch how they interact with everyone. And I've learned over the years red flags. Red flags for fitting into my work culture. It doesn't mean that they're red flags for employees in general. Red flags for my work culture. I protect that very much. So yeah, that's usually my interview process, and I have really good intuition. Um, but I also can see the potential in everybody, whether or not they live up to their own potential. So that's the other part that I had to learn was just because I see it in them, I also have to really watch the actions to show if they're going to live up to that.
because it was
And I really like your Sasha, by the way. I still keep reading it because I'm listening and go back to it because it's so in depth. So yes.
so, all right. Um, so, phone conversations. I'm not even going to look at the chat. So nobody. I'm just going to close the chat so I don't have to. For me, it's still there.
Squirrel moments. Squirrel
Yeah.
moments.
All right. So anyway, so with as far as employees are concerned, all right. One of the things I did, like the groomers that I did work well with, they were like really specific. Okay.
Hmm.
And again, not necessarily that other groomers were bad groomers. All right. They
Right.
just irritated me. Just being around them irritated me for whatever reason. Okay. But
Hmm.
that meant not that they were bad groomers or that they couldn't fit in someplace else. They just couldn't fit in with me.
Right. And I think that that's where a lot of people make that mistake too. Not everyone has to fit into your world and into your business, and that's okay. You can't make them fit. But that doesn't mean that, I've had people who we had a really big turnover this last year for really good. It was all across the board. Someone moved away, someone had a baby, all the things. Um, but I always say one of two things happen, right? Either an employee outgrows the business or the business outgrows the employee. And that doesn't mean that you know, that they're not going to fit in somewhere else. There's a place for everybody. So I've learned that I don't have to be that place for everybody, but they're going to find their own. Just because there's red flags for me does not mean down the road. And I actually had one of my friends, Kendra, you know Kendra. She ended up messaging me one time because one of my ex-employees, ended up applying there. And I just said, she didn't fit into our environment. And sure enough, when she hired her, she realized why she wouldn't have fit into my environment, but fit in perfectly at the doggy daycare that she worked at. So it just goes to show you, she's like, yeah, no, I could see why she wouldn't, but she's doing great and flourishing here.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I
All right.
didn't stop her or anything. I said, here was my experience. It wasn't even here's my experience. I just said, this is what I saw and here you go.
Okay.
And she hired her and there you go. She did fine.
All right. So the other thing to employees, and this is one thing I will hand to corporate. There's an employee manual, and everything is detailed in there. No matter how stupid it really is, it's detailed and it's there for a reason.
Oh, that was the other mistake. I was the person who hired without having handbooks, which is hilarious when you guys know who I am now. No handbooks, no policies, no procedures, no forms, no nothing. We're all adults. We can get along. Everyone knows how to clean. I know, right? I didn't have an actual solid handbook until about 3 years into my business.
Okay.
So, yes, I had a hard time with that. And my first form was an employee that I hired. She had closed her salon, so she was older than me, and she just needed a place to take her clients. And I ended up having to write a code of conduct form on how to treat other people's things and other people and property um, properly because that was the personality I had in there. So my very first formal form was a code of conduct because I needed it.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. All right. Yeah. Code of contact, really important. And I'll be honest, I didn't think I needed an SOP as a single business. I know what I'm doing, right? I don't, I don't,
Hmm.
I don't need one. Okay. And I didn't have an SOP until I had positive educational training. And that was not even right away.
Hmm.
It was when I was thinking, geez, something happens to me. All right. Nobody can run my business but me. Nobody knows how to do anything here but me.
Hmm.
So had documented everything. Holy cow, putting together an SOP is daunting.
It is. Oh yeah, it's not easy. And I'm still working on mine and tweak mine all the time. But here's the really cool part. They don't need me to be there to run. My businesses run on their own. They have enough systems and everything in place to know what to do. Um, so I don't have to be there, but they want me there. That's the trick, right? Like that's the cool part. They actually want me there. Um, and not because they just say that to my face. They really do actually. We have good conversations. Like I said, I make sure the work culture is up and I get to know my employees with boundaries. I don't, we have very healthy work life boundaries, personal boundaries. So yeah, no, I love it. But they can run it themselves. They don't need to, even right now I'm interviewing for a receptionist and when I have them come in for like the shadow portion of it to see really what the job's about, I pull out our manual and I say, here's for Mogo. And here's our whole entire manual on if anything happens. Here's the table of contents and everything else. So, like, I show them that their job has structure to it. So even if they get stuck, they have a way out.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Yeah, that was important. And what prompted me to even do an SOP was not only did no one not know how to run my business, my husband had no idea how to access any account. He didn't know
Mm,
passwords, he didn't know logins. And so if something happened to me, he'd sit here at the computer and not know what to do. One of my kids would have to fly in and do password resets on everything. so that they could access everything. So that was the first document that I did, was I created all the things, all right, which also
Mhm.
helped to identify all the subscriptions that I have that maybe necessarily wasn't using.
Mhm.
All right. That document took a while. And in fact, it kind of reminds me is that I got to go grab the master sheet, see which passwords I've changed in the interim, which subscriptions are no longer there, the subscriptions I've added since that time as well. And so it's a living document. It's got to be updated. That's probably the big document in the house. As far as my business is concerned, I just told my husband, just cancel my credit cards. Just cancel the credit cards. Nothing will renew. You'll be fine.
Mhm. Crystal's out of here. Bye, Crystal.
Okay. Yeah. See you around. So we're actually coming up on the half hour anyway. All right.
Mhm.
So, this is Denise's wheelhouse, by the way. All right.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, employee management, people, generations, it's my jam. I love it.
If someone tags me and it has to do with employees, I'm like, why are you tagging me about employees?
And then she
Denise.
tags me.
Did I just tag Denise? Okay. So yeah, don't contact my employees. I have like nothing to offer. Okay. Denise is the one. All right. So are you doing any employee classes at upcoming trade shows?
Communication to lead. I'm
Okay.
doing that one at Groomed. I'm doing price increases at Groomed, and I'm doing Cover Your Tail. That's a new one, which I may be getting a hold of you. It's all about safety in the
Woo.
salons. I
Okay.
know, right? So I'm doing that one. I think that's about my employee-based ones so far.
Okay.
I know Rocky Mountain, she pulled a lot of employee-based ones. I
Good.
can't remember them offhand, but yes. So,
Okay.
mhm.
Uh, so I did a business thing today. I changed the structure of my business from an LLC to a sole proprietor. And you know the first thing I did after I did that?
Huh.
I went over to my insurance agency to inform them that my insurance policy needs to change.
Mm,
Because if you change the structures, this is your whenever I feel a reminder to tell you, you change business structure, meaning like I went from an LLC to a sole proprietor. You change
mhm.
that structure, you have to let the insurance company know. If you do not, all right, you actually are not covered under insurance. So anyway, that's your reminder. Um, Upcoming thing I'll be at Groomed. I'm doing the first aid classes at Groomed. They fill up quickly, by the way. So again, this is your reminder that if you're thinking about taking the pet first aid class at Groomed, sign up for it sooner rather than later. And yes, they
Mhm.
will take a waiting list, but occasionally we pull somebody off the waiting list. But most of the time we don't. So that's your reminder. Also, if you're in the Washington area, April 12th and 13th, Sunday, Monday, we are doing our own it's called the PNW Pacific Northwest Grooming Conference. Details are coming soon. That's it. That's all I got.
I like it. I'll be at Pasadena for Snapped. So
Good.
even though I'm not speaking, if anyone's at Pasadena, come say hi to me. And then I'll be at Groomed and Buffalo Puppalooza with Snapped as well. I'm not speaking, but if anyone's going to that one, come hang out with me, talk employees
Okay.
and business. You're more than welcome to.
All right. So we'll see everybody in 2 weeks. I think possibly the next topic will be on wellness. I think that's a good topic.
Ooh, that is a good one.
Wellness or safety? We'll see how the cards fall on that one.
You know
Okay.
me, I show up. You tell me what to talk about. Yep.
Okay. So we will see everybody in 2 weeks.
Bye, everyone.